All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover how the Chief Sustainability Officer is evolving into a high-stakes, shape-shifting business strategist. We're totally moving away from that surface-level greenwashing of the past and getting down to the absolute bedrock of business survival: risk, resources, and reality. Today, we're going to break down insights from a fascinating panel of industry leaders to understand exactly how this massive transformation is actually playing out.
There is a quote from an expert at the intersection of climate and business that honestly just hits the nail on the head. They noted that the nice-to-have, fluffy, performative sustainability of just a few years ago is entirely gone, and it's been replaced with fear and price volatility. Think about it. Just 4 or 5 years ago, corporate sustainability was basically a marketing exercise, right? A nice-to-have bullet point on an annual report. But today, that fluff has completely vanished. It's been replaced with incredibly real, tangible pressures. We're talking volatile supply chains, extreme weather-threatening physical assets, and massive price shocks. Sustainability is definitely no longer a PR campaign. It is a critical, foundational lever for risk management.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The end of fluffy sustainability, 2. The shape-shifting CSO, 3. Navigating corporate and political tensions, 4. Reframing the green narrative, and 5. The power of bold questions.
Starting with Section 1, End of Fluffy Sustainability, from CSR to Corporate Survival, because the era of doing things just to look good is definitively over.
You know, today's Chief Sustainability Officer is basically judged by a CFO inflection point. They are measuring real financial resilience right alongside those green metrics. In the past, this role might have been measured purely by, say, carbon offset numbers or community engagement hours, but the modern definition has been radically updated. Today's sustainability executives are being assessed on tangible enterprise value creation. Simply put, if a green initiative doesn't also protect the company's bottom line, reduce operational costs, or open up new market share, it's just not going to survive today's rigorous boardroom scrutiny. It's a whole new ballgame.
Moving right along to Section 2, the shape-shifting CSO, a career evolution. Let's look at how the professionals in this role have completely transformed their skill sets.
Take leaders like Angela from United Airlines, for example. In the past, she practiced as a siloed environmental attorney. But to actually solve the incredibly complex problems facing businesses today, she had to evolve. She moved into business strategy, stepped up as general counsel for startups, and even took on lobbying on Capitol Hill. She literally calls this shape-shifting. Modern sustainability leaders can't just have one tool in their toolbox anymore. They have to constantly adapt, learning finance, product innovation, and policy, just so they can effectively influence decisions across the entire organization. So, how do they manage it all? Drawing on some great insights from PwC, we can see exactly how these shape-shifting CISOs divide up their massive workload. The in-house team holds tightly onto the strategic, relational work, stuff like setting governance and building the internal alliances needed to actually embed these changes into the company culture. Meanwhile, they outsource the highly dense technical compliance, heavy data regulations, and short-term IT enablement. By handing off that complex regulatory compliance to outside experts, the in-house leaders keep their hands free to actually drive the broader business strategy forward.
All right, Section 3. Navigating corporate and political tensions, the global squeeze. This is where the job gets incredibly difficult, facing intense pressures from completely opposing directions.
Talk about being caught between a rock and a hard place. Impartially speaking, executives are stuck between disruptive foreign market forces and rigid domestic political agendas. On one hand, you've got foreign markets producing $15,000 electric vehicles at an immense scale and speed. It's wildly disruptive. On the other hand, executives are facing heavy domestic tariffs and real pushback against ESG initiatives. The brutal corporate reality here is that business leaders are caught squarely in the middle. They are literally forced to navigate these long-term massive global market realities while simultaneously managing short-term domestic political crosshairs.
Honestly, the only way to survive these tensions is by acting as a translator. You have to sit on the exact same side of the table as finance to align your environmental tactics with cost reduction. You just cannot walk into the chief financial officer's office talking purely about global climate metrics anymore. It doesn't work. You have to speak their language, mitigating risk, reducing operational costs, and entering new markets. The sustainability leaders who are actually thriving today are the ones who read the financial reports, understand the CFO's fiscal stewardship goals, and present their green initiatives as direct, undeniable solutions to the company's financial pressures.
Which brings us to Section 4, Reframing the Green Narrative, the Trojan Horse Technique. Let's uncover the clever communication tactics used to bypass resistance.
I absolutely love this Trojan horse strategy from Maker's Mark. They completely dropped all the polarizing climate jargon and simply talked about how nature makes great whiskey. As an executive from Centauri explained, they realized early on that talking about climate action could immediately alienate some consumers or stakeholders. So, they changed the script. They launched a campaign called Perfectly Unreasonable, and it focused purely on the quality of the water, the limestone aquifers, and the health of the wheat and corn. Because at the end of the day, no one is going to argue against clean water and healthy soil if it results in a superior, better-tasting product.
By following 3 precise steps, they reframed their green initiatives into an undeniable business value that nobody, regardless of their political leaning, could argue with. Step 1, they switched up the terminology. Instead of saying regenerative agriculture, which, let's face it, can sound like a corporate buzzword, they used consumer-friendly terms like reanified or just focused on pure quality. Step 2, they zeroed in strictly on the physical realities of soil and water health. And Step 3, the ultimate proof, delivering a measurably better tasting product. Eliminating harsh pesticides makes the soil better, which makes the raw ingredients better, which quite literally makes a better tasting whiskey. They completely achieve their sustainability goals by wrapping them entirely in a narrative of product excellence.
And the best part? This reframing isn't just some clever marketing trick. It generates hard operational savings. By applying this pragmatic, business-first lens to sustainability, one company tracked 10 different sustainable packaging initiatives and yielded a massive, undeniable metric, $2.5 million in savings in just one single year. That's real money. This is exactly what we mean when we say you have to sit on the same side of the table as the CFO. When sustainability is framed as efficiency and cost avoidance, it instantly stops being a controversial talking point and just becomes a core business imperative.
Finally, Section 5, the power of bold questions, saving the asset. Let's look at a climactic real-world story where cross-functional curiosity prevented a massive disaster.
So, during the construction of a massive new integrated chemical facility off the coast of China, geological data revealed some huge hidden vulnerabilities. First, the company was building on reclaimed land, which is inherently unstable. On top of that, NASA maps were projecting severe sea level rise over the 30-year life of the asset. And if that wasn't enough, local populations were overusing water, which was causing the land to actually sink, a process called subsidence. The project was moving full steam ahead, and incredibly, the team in charge just hadn't fully factored in these converging environmental risks. It was literally a disaster waiting to happen. Then, a single executive asked a bold question during a coffee break that halted operations for 3 months, but ultimately saved the multi-million-dollar asset. They simply looked at the senior vice president and asked, how high are we going to build the foundation to adjust for projected sea level rise? The SVP couldn't answer. That one single question, asked by someone stepping outside their traditional silo, forced the entire company to pause, reevaluate all their assumptions, and build their first-ever site-specific sustainability plan. By being bold and genuinely curious, they mitigated a catastrophic long-term risk. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to consider as you navigate the quiet but absolutely critical reality of modern corporate strategy. We're living in a time of what's called green hushing, where companies are doing the vital work to protect their supply chains and ensure resilience, but they are speaking about it much more quietly to avoid political crossfire or regulatory missteps. But as we've seen throughout this explainer, stepping back from the microphone definitely doesn't mean stepping back from the work. The modern shape-shifting strategist knows that true integrity isn't about winning a PR battle. It's about doing the rigorous, cross-functional work that secures the future of the enterprise. So ask yourself, how will you reframe the narrative, ask the bold questions, and ensure the integrity of your impact in your own field?